On this episode of Phinside The NFL, we are going to discuss one of the biggest lies or misconceptions out there about Tua Tagovailoa, Mike McDaniel, and the Miami Dolphins offense. So do me the favor, smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, and let's get into this.
Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it!
You have got to be kidding me.
Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score!
Field on the near side, man open. Touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa.
Touchdown!
He's going deep. It's going over the touchdown again. Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go!
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we're back here for another one. We're doing things a little differently on this one, as it's more of a commentary piece because I've heard this topic discussed that we're going to get into, man, for the last couple of years, and I really thought it was something we should discuss and we should get into. But before we get into the biggest lie or misconception told about Tua Tagovailoa, Mike McDaniel, and the Miami Dolphins offense, this episode is in paid partnership with BetterHelp. The holidays are tough for everyone. Christmas and New Year's have just passed, while Valentine's Day is on the way. They're all full of ups and downs. Some are lonely due to life choices they've made. Some are lonely to reasons out of their control. Some are even struggling with the loss of loved ones during this time. I know the holiday season has had its rough moments on Phinside The NFL, as my family lost our family pet. A subscriber's wife is going through cancer treatment, and the whole reason we are here, the Miami Dolphins massively underachieved and disappointed us all. The list goes on. Whatever you have going on in your life, it's okay to not be okay. It's also okay to need help. And you can get the best help with BetterHelp. The new year should be about a new start. So let BetterHelp get you on the right path by filling out their online questionnaire. They can have you matched up with a therapist in as little as a couple of days. Their therapists are not only fully credentialed, but also diverse in their specialties and backgrounds. It's also super easy to switch therapists at any time at no extra cost to you. Start fresh any day of the year with BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/Phinside and get 10% off your first month of therapy. So with all that said, let's get into it. What exactly is the biggest lie or misconception about Tua Tagovailoa, Mike McDaniel, and the Miami Dolphins offense that I am referring to? And that is this. You hear it all the time. The offense is only built for Tua. Only Tua can run this offense. And people are saying that because of the results they've seen with the Skylar Thompsons, the Tyler Huntleys, the Mike Whites, etc., the Teddy Bridgewaters, okay? The Tim Boyles. That's what they are basing this on. And really, why they're saying this is because a lot of the people have agendas against said quarterback and said coach, and Mike McDaniel, or both. And they are looking for another avenue or another narrative to spin that projects them in a negative light. And what we're going to stick on today is that Tua is the only one that can run the system, which is just a bold-faced lie. It's just a bold-faced lie. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to state my case, but before I state my case, why don't we listen to what former NFL quarterback Dan Orlovsky had to say last offseason before Tua Tagovailoa was extended. He specifically talked about the players in the league that could successfully run this system. If you forgot about that clip, I'll play it for you here just to refresh your memory.
And then for Miami, I was interested because Tua's contract's not done yet. Will it get done? All that. So I think I firmly place Tua in the you can win a ton of football games with Tua as your starting quarterback. There's only a couple you win because of. And then I was thinking to myself, it's such a unique offense that Tua operates with Mike McDaniel. And if we're being honest, I'm not saying these players are the same people or one player may not be better than the other, but to operate and execute this offense the way that Tua has in the last 2 years, in my opinion, the guys that I think can do it at that level or maybe a little bit better, there's not many of them. I have Patrick, because he's Patrick, that can run Miami's offense exactly with all the motions and the shifts and the play fakes and the ball handling and the anticipation of windows. I think Patrick can. I think Joe Burrow can. I think C.J. Stroud can. I think Brock Purdy can. And I think Stafford can. Those are the only guys that I'm unequivocal that they can operate this offense in Miami the way that Tua has. There's some fringe guys. I think Dak is a fringe guy with it. Goff, maybe Jordan Love. So it's interesting because you sit there and go, well, his contract's not done yet. It should get done. You probably don't place him in the Patrick, Burrow, Josh Allen world, but you're going to win a ton of games with them. And when it comes to Mike McDaniel's offense, there's not a lot of guys that can run that offense and operate and execute that offense as efficient and at a high level like Tua has. I think Miami's got to get that deal done and get it done quickly for that organization and their future.
So as you see, Dan Orlovsky didn't sit there and say that no one can run the Miami Dolphins offense. In fact, he named 5 locks: Mahomes, Stafford, Purdy, and Burrow. Now, Stafford, Purdy, Stroud, and Burrow, what do they have in common? They each run offshoots of the Shanahan offense. So those 4 were basically named off their familiarity as with the system as well as the talent. It would just kind of be, more so about a couple philosophical differences as well as some verbiage terminology stuff. And Mahomes, of course, is named because he's a one-of-one unicorn. But look at what Kansas City have been running over the last couple of seasons. A lot of that outside zone stuff, a lot of West Coast concepts and principles in that offense. So I think it would just be a terminology and verbiage thing for Patrick Mahomes as well if he transitioned over to the Miami Dolphins. But on top of those 5, he named another 3, being Goff, Dak, and Jordan Love. So in total, that's 8. If you include Tua, that's 9. And I think my number 1 free agent option, and we'll talk about him in a little bit, is probably the 10th best guy that could run this offense. But look at what he's naming and the guys he's naming that can run this offense. Mahomes, Stafford, Purdy, Stroud, and Burrow are top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. Yeah, Stroud had a sophomore slump, but a lot of you were quick to anoint him top 5 last year. But you're talking about top 10 guys in the NFL. When you add in Goff, Love, and Dak, now you're talking about top 12 guys in the NFL. So it's elite company Tua Tagovailoa is finding himself in the same breath with. It's because this offense requires high-level processing, especially pre-snap. High-level accuracy and ball placement is needed all the way from the middle of the field to outside the numbers because of the speed and windows open up off the motions. And you have to be precise and decisive. The notion that it's a negative or somehow an indictment on Tua, that he's one of the few that can run the system, is ridiculous when, in fact, it's the opposite. And I mean, let's stick with the motions here, right? Because the Dolphins have a huge part of their playbook dedicated to play action. 2022 and 2023, they had, some of the highest usage rates of play action in the NFL. They use formation motions to create the windows over the middle of the field for their speedy receivers to produce. And they also use these speed motions to work off of their base concepts, as well as attacking and threatening outside of the numbers. It's because Tua isn't an elite athlete and he's strictly a pocket passer. That's why they, only he can run the system. But no, that doesn't mean he can only run the system. The system just requires a skill set to operate it efficiently as a passer that Tua Tagovailoa happens to possess the majority of the qualities for. Timing and tight window throws, pre-post snap processing, short intermediate accuracy are areas that guys like Justin Fields struggled with, and a reason why I didn't want Justin Fields. Like, you look at them in September. They beat the Denver Broncos 13-6 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Justin Fields threw for 117 yards and a touchdown. Do you think the Dolphins in this offense could ever win a game with Tua only throwing 117 yards and a touchdown? And again, that doesn't even come down to the system. That comes down to the game plan and play caller, i.e. Mike McDaniel. That doesn't fall on the quarterback. That doesn't even fall on the system. That falls on your head coach for reasons you can't win games like that. I mean, teams throw too high shells and he doesn't even know how to counter that and get $30 million receivers involved more consistently. That's not the system. That's the play calling. So, it's not that only one player can run this. It's that a certain skill set is just needed that not many possess. Again, look at the breadth he's being put in with. Burrow, Mahomes, Stafford, Purdy, Goff, who's gone to NFC championships and Super Bowls. It's because they require those same skill sets. Everyone talks about physical traits and athleticism when declaring a quarterback elite, not realizing that there are other skill sets at the position you can be elite at, such as football IQ, processing, anticipation, timing, and accuracy. The New England Patriots built a 20-year dynasty off of that. Tom Brady didn't need to be a good athlete. He executed the system, which required a high-level football IQ, high-level processing, high-level anticipation, timing, and accuracy. Now, Tua Tagovailoa has a long way to go before he's mentioned in the same breath as Tom Brady. Long way. He probably will never be mentioned in the same breath when it's all said and done. But a dynasty was built off that, not some guy running around for 100 or 200 yards and then throwing for another 100. Jaden Daniels right now, why he's so dynamic is because he might arguably already be one of the best mobile passers we've ever seen. He's a lightning quick processor already. He's doing VR training at 1.75 times the speed he's seeing on the field. Jaden Daniels is getting it up here just as much as he has it down in his legs. You can already see when he's as deep as Lamar Jackson is in the NFL right now, when he's in year 6, 7, 8, Jaden Daniels is going to be a way better passer. Way better passer. And when you go back to this system, I think Jaden Daniels could run the system because of what he's got up here. But see, this is why people with agendas and narratives against McDaniel and Tua, or McDaniel or Tua, this is why they don't want to discuss this. Because they try to sell you that to be an elite quarterback, you got to have a big arm, you got to be 6'5", You got to be able to just extend plays and make plays, blah, 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 blah. But no, that's not true at all. At all. There are certain guys in the NFL that are valued certain ways. Look at Russell Wilson. Why did Russell Wilson not work in Denver? Right? Russell Wilson worked because he never wanted to play in structure. His first instinct is to get out of structure. But Sean Payton went and got Bo Nix. What will Bo Nix do? Bo Nix will play in structure first. He'll go through his progressions, stand firm in the pocket, and if he sees something coming, he will stay firm, he will take the hit, and he will throw it. Whereas guys whose first instinct is to play out of structure, even if they see something's coming open, but they feel the pressure, they're not going to stand and take the hit. They're going to try and avoid the hit. And by the time they avoid the hit, the structured play is gone, and now you got to create out of it. Where you got guys like McDaniel and Payton, they want you to be in structure players first, and then if all options are exhausted in the pocket, or you're forced to off bad protection off the snap, okay, go out of structure and make something happen. But these kind of coaches want everything executed in structure. And what people don't want to admit of when a guy like Dan Orlovsky says guys like Burrow, Mahomes, Stafford, Purdy, and Stroud, and I'd put Daniels in there, are the only like locks that can run this system. You're talking about guys who are in the top 10, guys who are in the top 12, quarterbacks in the league. You're talking about only a third of the league can run this offense. When you want to include Goff, Dak, and as well as Jordan Love, which but if you want to include those with Tua, now we're at 10 if you add in Jaden Daniels into that mix. That's a third of the league. That is a small group. And all of those guys are viewed as anywhere from top 5, top 3, top 5 to top 12 quarterbacks, depending on the name you throw. And people don't want to admit it, but this further proves Tua's value as a quarterback in the NFL. A West Coast offense is already one of the most complicated offenses in the NFL, but McDaniel's version of it has found a new level to that complication, which is why so few can run it, because you need certain traits to be at such a high level, like the pre-snap processing, post-snap processing, anticipation, timing. Not everyone can be a high-level passer from a processing, timing, accuracy, anticipation, and ball placement standpoint. Just like not every quarterback can be a high-level athlete from a speed, agility, combine testing, and size standpoint like Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. And really, let's be honest, not having a quarterback with the traits required to be successful in this system is why we've watched guys like Huntley Thompson, Mike White look awful. Is because they aren't even good at those types of things like processing, timing, accuracy, anticipation, and ball placement, let alone are they on the high end. See, then you got Frank Smith or Mike McDaniel say they want to back up with an opposite skill set, but that still doesn't make any sense, because if you want a dual threat, he needs to have the required traits to some level of good, or not only is he set up to fail, but so is your offense, unless you create a specific second playbook for this offense. The problem is it's rare enough to find a quarterback that's really good at processing, timing, accuracy, anticipation, and ball placement at those required traits, let alone one that can run around and kill defenses with his legs. That's why everyone's in awe of Jaden Daniels right now. He's like the only one. So, you know, it's just, you've got to have a certain set of traits or you will fail. And, you know, look at when you don't have this certain set of traits, look at what Shanahan, McDaniel, and McVay company had to do with the, at the time, named Washington Redskins when RG3 was there. With Kirk Cousins and RG3, they basically had to have two different playbooks. They had a read option RPO playbook with RG3, and then because Kirk Cousins did different things, there's the West Coast, what they really wanted to do foundationally. You know, Tyreek doesn't prop up Tua for good PR. There's a reason he was saying I miss QB1 in his Jets postgame presser while he stated he was out. He understands not only the value of Tua as his QB, but that Tua is why they'll win and he'll produce, while this system is a kind of a byproduct of that right now. And when we talk about finding that next dual threat, that guy who can have those required traits but add athleticism to you, this is why I like Jackson Dart so much, and I've been banging the table since like August, September for him. Look at his college career, running an RPO read option based offense. It's quickened him as a pre-snap processor. He has a strong arm that can make all the required throws from the middle of the field to outside the numbers. He has good deep touch accuracy. He knows how to attack the middle of the field, but he has that element to his missing when it comes to his athleticism and extending plays that can lead to big quarterback runs or big plays. Now, is he the timing thrower, the anticipator, or the ball placer, or even the processor Tua was coming out? No. Those were Tua's superpowers. But Jackson Dart is still good at those things and can be coached up even further. The guy was just under NFL level coaching with Lane Kiffin. He's already used to doing those type of things. Then you add on the athleticism, the ability to run and extend plays. That could be deadly in this type of system. Now, I mentioned him, but another guy who I think in the 11th, we mentioned the Mahomes, Stafford, Purdy, Burrow, Stroud, right? We mentioned Goff, Daniels, Dak, Jordan Love, and Tua as the 10 we think could run this offense. But I'll throw the 11th as being Kirk Cousins. That's why he's my top free agent when he gets cut for filling the void of backup quarterback. He's going to be 2 years removed off that Achilles injury. He worked with McDaniel and has a somewhat of an understanding of what's going to be required of this system due to his time in Washington with these guys. That's why I think he could run the system. So again, but that doesn't change the number. You're still at like a third of the league. And again, because it's not sexy traits and sexy highlights like 80-yard bombs or 60-yard, broken down plays that end up into scrambles. It's the pocket passer that's been around and won't go away ever. You'll always be able to win from the pocket. They've been trying to convince us for years that the pocket passer is dying, but we can sit here and name 11 guys who can run this system. So no, the pocket passer is not dying. Another free agent I like is Andy Dalton, I've talked about. And one thing Cousins and Dalton have in common with Tua is when you look at quarterbacks who had 100 or more dropbacks this season, Tua Tagovailoa was obviously number one in time to throw at 2.31 seconds, but Cousins, he was number 4 at 2.56, and Dalton was number 3 at 2.54. Number 2, I believe, was Cooper Rush. So this whole notion, this whole idea, and this whole misconception that this offense is built for Tua and only Tua can run it is pure hogwash. So don't let them get away with the lie that only Tua Tagovailoa can run this system, because we've named a third of the league that can run this system. It's just you got to know what you're looking for in a quarterback to run this system, and you've got to know what's required of this system. There are plenty of options in the draft and in free agency, or hell, maybe even if you want to trade for, that could come in and could run the system. Now, will they run it as efficiently and as to a high level as Tua Tagovailoa? That remains to be seen. But I repeat, do not be naive enough to fall for it. Do not be dumb enough to repeat it. And do not let them get away with the narrative that only one quarterback in the NFL can run an NFL built system, because it makes no sense and it's just not true. This offensive scheme requires elite intangibles like processing, timing, accuracy, anticipation, ball placement for Yak. While its foundation may be horizontal based, the big wrinkle is how it can stretch defenses vertically. That's why they don't require you to throw a 100-mile-per-hour fastball and you don't need a cannon, while Tua throws some of the best fades and goes in this game with the intangibles I mentioned that are required in this offense. And that's why the list of guys who can run it almost as efficiently or maybe even better than him is so short. We've sat here, we've named 11 players, including a free agent, that can run this offense. It's one of the most complicated in the NFL. That's why you heard Tyler Huntley talk about just learning the motions had his head spinning. Because these are also the same people, the same ones that say it's only built for Tua, are the same ones that gas you up whenever anyone else gets a shot. How does that make sense? They should be expecting them to fail right away. Listen, smash the like button. Subscribe if you are new. We are on our way to 17K. Did a little bit differently on this one. I hope y'all enjoyed it. And I will see each and every one of you on the next one. Until then, as always, fins up all day, every day.